Boss job. Mic trigger. Button.
Hello, folks. This
9:33 a.m.
Is a series which I'm doing, which will better you spiritually, mentally, whatever. I did a live video on a audio blog, and I came out last night on my page with how I really feel, and just so those don't know from last night's video, everything's getting structured, but I've been in a dark place. It's not been good. To describe that, through lockdown I was losing weight and everything was going good, and I don't think I was mentally in a good place, but I felt in a good place, if that's strangely, it was like I was in a safe space, but I knew what was outside of that wasn't. Anyway, that's another video. At the moment, everything's getting back to normal, but I've put on the old weight really, and physically, it's not as good as what it could be, and mentally, things are just getting good. So I need to rebuild. Everybody needs to rebuild. So anyway, this video is about spiritually rebuilding. After I did that live video, I had a ton of thoughts.
One notification. YouTube. Now. YouTube creators. New. Shorts and revenue sharing. Attachment.
So anyway, that's where this video comes, and it's kind of going in the darkness to seek the light and all the rest of it, which you need to do. But as a little bit of quick advice to start the video. So if I'm going too quickly, please comment. But I thought that I would tell a little bit of something here. So when I was getting my Asperger's diagnosis the second time, I was researching. And after and since I was asking the question that not a lot of Aspies ask, or not a lot of anybody that's got any, a deep imagination ask, do imaginary friends have a spiritual connection? And there was nothing online. There wasn't a lot of things to say. There wasn't a lot of things online to tell you all of the things, all of the bits of advice that people needed. I thought it was all underground information. Information that nobody would know. Because, there were bits of things that we stumbled on. A couple of things turned out to be creepy pastas. Others were just on people's accounts. But they weren't really true answers. So in this video, in this series, I'm going to give you all of the answers, some of my experiences too, the dream world. But I'm going to just say, quick disclaimer, I don't have the answer to everything, right? Like everybody you meet, nobody has the answer to everything. Yeah, there's gurus out there that have got more qualifications in certain fields to discuss certain things. But I'm just going to go out and say this right now. I am not a guru in this. I don't have all the answers. The answers I do have are ones that I've researched myself. And I have a deep imagination, and it is a gift. So, as you'll know, on my other video, it was an imaginary friends. It was a vlogcast with my imaginary friends, which I decided to do. Because I want to share, I'm doing it as an art project as well as but I thought this video is more on the spiritualized thing, because I thought maybe people wanting to know the answers will get them in this video. So, the one question is, can imaginary friends be spirits, or can they be things from the spirit world? And the answer is yes. There is no rules in the spirit world to say what spirits can transform themselves into. They can be demons, they can be angels. They can even be God himself, they can be Jesus. They can be anything. But they'll go into an imaginary figure. Mind you, if it's something like Jesus, it won't be imaginary, but they can channel through that path. The deceased can be in the imaginary friends. Because somebody asked me a few weeks ago, they said, are angels, can angels be imaginary friends? And I said, well, do you want them to be friends? Do you want to be friends with them? And it took a minute, because I was giving them back the question in a way. I was giving them the question back, which I don't normally do. I'm not really that type of person. Do you really want them to be? Was the question. And the reason I was asking that is because you've got to be careful with angels. You've got to be really, really careful with them. They're just messengers. They're just giving you mixed messages. And they came back and said, well, yes. And I said, well, you really want all your angels to be friends? Do you want to make friends with all of them? And that they didn't know how to come back with that one. But that's the thing, that I was giving them the question back each time. Do you want, because the thing is, right, that's a spiritual thing. Which we have to be careful with. Playing with the spiritual realms, we've got to be very careful with, because we're stepping into fiery territories. It's like stepping in the middle of a road when a car is coming. Actually, no, that's not really the example to give. It's more like going to a crowd of strangers and giving them your credit card number and your phone number and your address and all the rest of it. It's literally like that. It's like saying, hey, hey devils or demons or whatever, here's my address. Come down, we'll have a party. There was there is people in there's people in a lot of communities, and they say, hey, if you want to experience something, should I summon a demon or something? But that's literally how it feels. So, in this video, I'm going to tell you that the imaginary world, one half isn't spiritual, the other half is. And how do you know which is a spiritual half and how do you know which isn't? Well, again, that's something that I don't know entirely. I guess the imaginary friends that have a spiritual connection are the ones that stick with you the longest. The ones that kind of give you advice you never knew that they were giving. But again, it's channeling all through you. You know, you'll do their voices, you'll do their actions, you'll do, you know, but you won't actually be them. It's difficult because I can't do as many voices as I used to do, but my imagination is still as deep. There are things that do cloud your imagination. Social media, television. Social media is more or less in the background. I do a lot of YouTube more than Facebook these days. Facebook I do kind of to promote things. YouTube I actually do stuff and then I share from the YouTube to Facebook. I've decided to try and get back into Instagram, sort that out. Tumblr's a bit of a fiddly one. It's whatever you can do, but I've decided to write letters and stuff. There's another person, and she said, how did the deceased go into the imaginary world? I said, they're actually coming back to reconnect with you. That's what they're doing. And people say, oh, well, can imaginary friends be familiar spirits? Be like, there's a name, but I can't actually think of it. Yes. Unfortunately, they're the ones that can be either familiar spirits or they can be someone that's going to try and drive us off the path, the good path, and try and get us on the bad path. Not all imaginary people are friends. I want you to think about that. This is kind of, you know, the spiritual realm is not really something to be played with, but you can take from it and create. That's a bit of a, but you have to ask, you know, you have to ask. You can't just take. Well, you can just take, but there'll be consequences, you know? Again, it's like going into that crowd of people again and, I don't know, saying, hey, come back to my house. There'll be a party tonight, you know? There'll be food and wine and song and all the rest of it. But do you want those people coming to your house? Do you want those people coming into your life? You know? People you don't know, people are going to steal from you, people are going to suck energy from you. Do you want those people in your life? Because they're the sort of people that will destroy you. And can imaginary friends be demons? I'm going to answer this question very quickly. Yes. Unfortunately, again, it's like the familiar spirit thing. The problem with demons is they start off very subtle. A demon, you probably think, oh, the demons are huge or they're really small. In actual fact, yes, demons are huge, but what they do is they rather shrink and disguise. If you think of what the worst fear is you've ever had, demons will introduce you to a fear you've never had. Very strange. And that can take years of getting over. Years of recovery. And that's why when you're a teenager, you'll get these moods that come from, these really bad mood swings that just come from nowhere. But if you're playing with the spiritual world as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, things will happen that you just don't want to happen. But you can't control it then. Unfortunately, that's something that we haven't. We've been lucky with that. Have we stepped into the fire? Oh yeah, many times. But you've got to remember that each time you step in the fire, you're going to get burnt. You might step in the fire one time and you might come back unharmed, unscaled. But next time, you might not get lucky. I see The Exorcist not as a horror film, I see it as a very educational film, because those things happened to me. So if you want to know how demons work, watch The Exorcist and take note. The Exorcist is more of a documentary than it is an actual horror film. It was actual, happenings, people playing around with things that they shouldn't have played around with, so technically. But anyway, I want to get onto the paranormal realms and how you can use your imagination as a tool if you wish. What you have to do, if you want to get in touch with an imaginary person that you don't know, you've not even made yet, you've not even seen them yet, you just, when you think of a question and then you ask it, you have to learn to program your imagination. Program your world. See everything you do as a blank canvas. It's a bit of a large thing to think about, but see everything you do as a large canvas. See your dreams as a blank canvas. Every time you go to bed at night, it's like you've got a blank sheet of paper every night. Think what you could do with that blank sheet of paper. Think what you could put on it. But then you've got to ask the blank sheet of paper what you want it to present you with. So it's a bit like an automatic drawing. It's a bit like asking the AI to draw you a drawing you've given them, and then everything's all set up for you. But you still got to go into it like a blank canvas. You still got to go into it. And then you can ask different things of the world that you've created. Could be a new reality, but that's something else. It's not something I'm qualified to talk about. But it's more like Alice in Wonderland. And she didn't know that her experience that she was going into, the thing with Alice in Wonderland, the thing that makes that story so special, the thing that we take from that is she didn't know what she was experiencing. She went into this magical land without realizing, but then it was to the end. She knew she could take control. And it's these dreamlike states where we've got to go, okay, we can take control now. And it's all these illusions. There's a room, and there's a shop called the Kingsley and Co shop. They've got a special room in there which you've got to experience yourself. But you can take from that room the experience, and you can use it for your own research. And that's what's special. They want you to, the people at the Kingsley and Co shop, they want you to experience the room. But there's all kinds of things that you can take from there. But there's a few things that we like in that room, because they're really special, and we can use them to stretch our imagination. So it's things like that.
Mic trigger, mic lock, button. Mic lock.